Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome again to this lovely Monday. Welcome to the Culinary Business Network, presented by Feed the Soul Foundation, empowered by our lovely Grubhub Community Fund. This is the only membership network where you can connect, learn, and grow all at your fingertips. Again, connect with like minded culinary business owners, learn from industry experts, and grow your business all in one place. I'm your host, Karina Fernandez, Program Director of Feed the Soul Foundation. And welcome to our Monday Mastermind session. Today, we're diving into an exciting topic. I know a lot of you have been asking for this, ways that we can blend food and sports and all those opportunities that are available to culinary business owners. And what does it take to be a vendor at major sporting events? Well, to help us understand where to start, what you need to become a vendor for those large sporting events, and how to plan all year long for these types of events, we are so thrilled to have I forgot my little icon. Hold on. And we are so excited to have a conversation with this lovely lady. We're thrilled to have her join us, Miss Maria Duran, the Director of Community Engagement at the Harris County Houston Sports Authority, and an organization that plays a major role in bringing those national and international events, including, of course, the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup. And this woman, man, she is a powerhouse, and she is a seasoned leader with over 19 years in professional sports, where she's built meaningful connections between sports organizations and communities that she serves. Her work lives at that intersection, of course, of sports, culture, business, and community, as well as creating those programs that actually drive impact for inclusion and elevate the fan and community experience. She's also passionate about what she does, and she uses sports to unite and uplift communities through these events. And so, also, fun fact, she directed an initiative called Buy Houston, buy like purchase, and Buy Houston Supplier Diversity Program. And she has secured 2 million plus in local vendors and contracts, creating access for minority women, LGBTQI, and veteran owned businesses. And so, I mean, come on, that is amazing, so that others can participate in those major sporting events, and giving those like us a seat at the table. So, wow, again, and how powerful is this? And I'm going to bring her up on stage because I've said way too much already. So please help me welcome Miss Maria Duran, everyone. Thank you, Maria, for being here. I know it's been a long time coming, girl, and you are busy, busy. We love seeing everything that you've done in the community. I mean, I've seen you grow since I mean, I got here about 15, 16 years ago, and I've seen your growth as well. So welcome.
Karina, thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to be here today and to be able to, talk a little bit about this fun intersection, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, who doesn't love sports and food, right? They go hand in hand. So we love to hear about our co-hosts, and so I want to kind of dive into you and your journey and how you got here. For a lot of us, it's not a direct path; it's always like a pivot here and there. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about you and your journey into food and the food beverage industry. Again, like I said, there's a combo there. You yourself are also have been a small business owner, so you definitely can relate to most of us and our audience. So tell us a little bit about you, how you started, how this all happened, And are you from Houston, or from elsewhere?
Mhm.
I know I'm not from Houston. I'm a Houston implant, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been living here now, it feels like all my life, but
Yeah.
I'm from El Salvador,
Okay.
and Houston has been my home for almost all my life, and I am. At first, I wasn't. When I was very young, I was like, Houston, I want to go somewhere else. And then
Mm-hmm.
in college, I absolutely fell in love with the city because I actually live in Pasadena, so it's a smaller town. We don't, even though we're next door, it's different. And once I got to really like see the city and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, we have everything. We have
Right.
absolutely everything. And
Right.
in college, we even started we call it the dinner crew. So we would go at least once a month, a big group of us to go check out different restaurants. So, food has always been a major part of the journey, right?
Right. Right.
And yeah, but I I've been in the sports and entertainment industry now over 19 years, and it was definitely not a straight line. It was not
Mm.
even on my radar at all. But I just happened to run into it. A friend told me there's this soccer team coming to town. You should, look into it. I was looking for, internship opportunities, a job, and that's how it kind of fell into my lap. And I haven't looked back since. And I think one of the really great things about sports is just the fact that we get to have so much fun and get to, really engage and bring in other parts of the culture of the city that we're in, everything. And so, I've been able to do a little bit of everything now through sports. I've been now I was 10 years with the Houston Dynamo, then started my own company in 2016, and
Great.
then 3 years ago I started with the Harris County Houston Sports Authority. And so, I've really been able to be in sports, to work in nonprofit, to
Mhm.
consult with small businesses. I feel like I've done a little bit of everything,
Great.
and it's really interesting because along the way, food has always been a big part of it. With college football playoff national championship in early 2024, we had a big taste event. And
Mhm.
so, I got to work with them in order to bring in high school culinary programs to be a part of it. So
Ah,
we've always been able to just kind of bring in, food into everything that we've done, and it's been very exciting. And now I get to work on our vendor program, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
has there been any? Have you been starstruck by any like sports athletes or anything as you're working? Because you get to see some of them, and you get to feed some of them too, right? And so, have you been starstruck by any of them? Because I mean, national and international, that's pretty big, right?
Yeah. I've had very funny moments. Actually, one of them was with David Beckham.
Okay, I'm
Yeah, this was
sorry.
this
Did you
was
kick it
around
like Beckham? Just kidding.
right. Oh man. I ran production for the Dynamo for many years,
Mm,
and that is a very hectic job of just running around everywhere.
right.
And so one time I was in one of the locker rooms, running out into the hallway to try to go do something, and I almost tackled him, and
Oh,
I came an inch from tackling him just because of my, just coming out and
speed. Yep. Yep. Yep.
but no, just kind of laughed it off, was like, oh, hi, sorry, thanks,
Hi,
keep
sorry,
on
bye.
going, you know.
By the way, my
um
name's Maria. Just
like, sorry. But that was a funny, I think, a starstruck moment that was captured on, I have the photo and it's hilarious. Iker Casillas, who's who was the Spanish national team
Oh,
goalkeeper. I mean, star player, like everybody knows him. And he happened to come in at that time. BBVA Compass was our sponsor for the stadium, and so they were doing this big thing, and they needed somebody to translate. And so I
oh.
was there, helping out with that, with the translation and the production stuff. And um I don't know, he was so nice, and I was just
What is
kind
his
of
name? Let's
helping
put him up on
him.
the screen. What is his name
Iker
again?
Iker Casillas.
Yeah. Here it is. Wow, he came up like real fast.
Yeah, yeah, but it was hilarious because when the production crew, one of my friends was the main photographer, and he just took photos of me. Just, I mean, I need to find it, but I am just completely in awe of this player as I'm like talking to him, and it's just the funniest picture because everybody afterwards, like, they were like, okay, you were in the moment there. I was like, I was. He's so nice.
Let me see. This is him.
Yep, that is him.
He's the one of the goalkeepers
Yes, he was the
on the
star
Spanish.
goalkeeper of the Spanish national team, and I believe he also played for Real Madrid. I mean, very storied career. Um, yeah, so
Very
good
cool.
times.
Hey, the bilingualness came into play. Real nice.
Seriously,
Yeah.
seriously. I everybody always asks, like, what is your superpower? And I'm like, being bilingual and being Latina.
Amen to that. Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah. Speaking about Latinas, especially in Houston and in the space that you're in, right? Sports. Tell us a little bit about your journey with the Harris County Sports Authority because it, it's a nonprofit or it's part of Harris County, or tell us a little bit about that and what how do they get these contracts, or how do they, how do their their role, right, in
Hmm.
these sporting events.
Yeah. Well, I think the easiest way to really, talk about the sports authority, or at least the way that I like to describe it, is um it it's the organization that, brings in major sporting events, right?
Mhm.
So they're we we're responsible for overseeing the world class sports venues here in Houston, and then also really doing everything to make Houston, the premier destination for sporting events. And so, as there's different bid opportunities.
Mm,
For these sporting events to come to different cities,
mhm.
then the Harris County Houston Sports Authority is the one that works on that, right? Putting in those bids, working with different partners, and because we're just such a big city, such a big county, it's very important for the city and county to work together to bring in those events. I
Those
mean,
events.
at the end of the day, we're talking about generating billions in economic impact through all of the different events that come through the city, the sporting
Right.
events that come through the city every year. And so we've been very lucky that ever since the Sports Authority, the Harris County Houston Sports Authority was created. I mean, Houston has definitely become a premier destination for sports,
Sports.
and we've shown it, and it's not only through soccer; it's through all of the different sports, through college football, through baseball, through basketball. I mean, you name it,
Right.
we've hosted it here. Rugby, cricket, table tennis. I mean,
I've seen the
major.
cricket. Yeah, yeah. I've seen cricket matches and
Mhm,
people coming all over from the UK, from India, from Australia.
mhm.
That is really awesome to see that our city can be that that dynamic, right, to bring all those. And now, do most cities have a sports authority or some type of organization that brings in those types of initiatives?
Yes, for the most part, major cities do have that, and if they don't have a sports commission or sports authority on its own, it's something. It's like a department within, let's say, a conventions bureau,
Got it.
or whatever or an economic development
Okay.
corporation that's put on by the city. So but sports is definitely a big deal for everybody, just because it's part of the culture.
Right.
It really is.
And you made a good point that it's also a revenue stream, and it has a lot of economic impact on local municipalities as well,
Mhm.
because you have hotels, restaurants, and then anything else that the patrons that go to these major sporting events get to enjoy from the city, and that is major dollars coming in. So
Big time.
um, anything else about your journey into this before we get into the how do we even get in this game? um,
It's been
any
fun, and
any
I'm
highlights of of your journey into this? Because like we said, it's not easy to pivot, but there are, and how you survived also through the pandemic, because there was no sporting events happening, there was no events happening, and how you were able to overcome that as well.
yeah. Well, I think that actually right now I feel extremely blessed being in the position that I'm in, because during the pandemic, one of the areas that I focused on was consulting with small businesses, right? Because a lot of them at that time, there were shutdowns.
Right.
There were people had to really start thinking outside the box, and
Mm,
so around that time, I started doing some projects with the Greater Northside Management District,
got it.
and doing like revitalization in the area, and working with their small businesses in order to just be creative on what their needs are, and how with these small grants that the management district was able to provide, how we can really like maximize that those funds in order to do something that would be impactful for the businesses. And a
Right.
lot of them were restaurants, and so we really had to just be very creative. And so now a lot of what I learned in working with the businesses, and kind of learning about where how the owners think and see
Yeah.
and feel, is now very useful in this space, because a lot of times I can be like, okay, wait, they might see it this way, let's tweak this, or
Right.
whatever. And so now sports continues to be the foundation, but the work that I've done with small businesses and in that business ecosystem is now very, very helpful in making
Mhm.
sure that the vendor program that we're doing is something that will be impactful for Houston. And so I'm just I feel very blessed that I get to be in that space, and get to be that connector.
Nice. I love that, because that's what we do too. We're the connector between the resources and the knowledge and the opportunities. And so let's dive into how do we get in this game, because understanding, what it takes to be a vendor for these types of events, what are some of those requirements, and also understanding that it's not just the World Cup, that there's like, many opportunities throughout the year. And so when we're thinking about large scale sporting events that either come to Houston or other local cities, what type of vendor opportunities are typically available for local restaurants, caterers, and food trucks? I'll put up one that, if you want to talk about what is coming up,
Mm-hmm.
especially for Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. Ah,
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the really important things is to keep in mind that every single event is very different, right? Every single event has a different scope, has I mean, it's a different organizer, or as we call them, planning partners.
Okay.
And so yeah, every single one is very different. As you can see, next year, I mean, yes, we have World Cup as one of them, but before that, I mean, we have the World Baseball Classic. There's, you know, the March Madness games that will also be taking place here in Houston. And I mean, there are more events as well, but every single one of those is going to be different. It's a different venue. We're talking about World Baseball Classic is at Dakin Park. March Madness, that event, I believe, is at the Toyota Center, if I'm not mistaken. And then, you know, the FIFA World Cup is going to be at Energy Stadium. So the scopes, the footprint, you know, they're all very different. And so knowing that, the needs from each planning partner is going to be very different as well. There, you know, a lot of times, and I can talk about this from experience. I was part of the host committee for the 2016 Copa America Centenario, and then also on the host committee for the College Football Playoff National Championship. And you know, there were different needs, right? When it comes to vendors, and specifically in food and beverage, you have catering needs, you know, for different pieces of the event. And the event is not, it's sometimes, as we see it, is not only the, let's say, the championship game or the game itself. There's also a lot of ancillary events that happen. There could be, you know, a concert leading up to it. There could be a fan fest. I mean, you know, there's a lot of different pieces to it, and so so then a lot of times there's catering needs for those different pieces, or even for the groups that are involved. When you're talking about something like college football playoff, you know, you have multiple teams that are coming in, you have media teams. So a lot of them need to be fed. And then the event itself, you know, for the championship game at Energy Stadium, for that one, we had at the end, there was a decision made to have food trucks that were, you know, like in the tailgate area, because that would be the best way to maximize the footprint, as well as the expected attendance. And so, you know, so just in that one event, there were catering needs. There were, food trucks. There were some, you know, box lunches. I mean, so there's different things, but again, every single one is different, and that's where I wish I could say, you know, they will all be the same, and these are the opportunities that will come, but they all vary, and it's also on their timeline. So we want to be proactive and connect with people ahead of time, so we know, and then that way, as those opportunities come up, we already know who and how to connect them.
Awesome. You made me think about something you said. I mean, also the media comes, right? There's a bunch of journalists and TV stations that come and travel here. Do they also look to you all to kind of coordinate some of those like meetings or food opportunities? Like, do you all connect with restaurants and say, hey, I need a venue for 35 people for, you know, during this time? And then that's when you activate quickly, because you already have a long list of restaurants within a certain radius that have certain seating, that have XYZ. Is that?
Yeah, for the most part, but we also have, because there's so many different people involved, that sometimes, you know, they may kind of also go on their own and, you know, either do the research, or they've, you know, come across something that piques their interest, and they, you know, want to do something at a specific place. And so so both can happen, actually. Yeah, both can happen. But I mean, as far as our vendor program, and you know, I think that's where it is. Like, we really want to be like that connector. And so for us, it's very important to to be as proactive and start connecting with people now to get them into our vendor
And
program.
okay. And then can you tell us a little bit about the Buy Houston vendor program you just mentioned, and how it helps small and minority-owned businesses with these opportunities? And you kind of touched on the types of categories that you're looking for, but I know there's more. So can you kind of tell us what that program is?
So the program, and actually we launched it with college football playoff, or as I call it,
Mhm.
CFP, right? As we call it, CFP. So with CFP, we launched the program, and it's ultimately a database.
Got it.
And so basically, what we're doing is we're going out into the community,
Mhm.
connecting with business owners, right? And so we want to bring them into our database. Um, we are the connector when people register for the program. Then we vet the information, because
Mhm.
one of the things that I think is very important for everybody to note as well is, um, when it comes to sporting events, even though a lot of times a lot of these events are scheduled,
Mhm.
years in advance, because there's always so much going on
Right.
that, once things do, it's one of those kind of like, how do they say it, like, you're always waiting until it's go time.
Yes, yes, that's
So same,
all we
same
know.
thing, yeah, same thing with us in sports. It's you know so what we're trying to do is connect with businesses, register them for the vendor program, so that way we have a database of qualified, vetted businesses that are ready.
Mhm,
That we know that their capability, or sorry, their capacity, is for big events,
mhm,
or that they're scaling right in that direction,
right,
um, and that they're ready.
mhm,
And so, because once things do start happening for a specific event, then
mhm,
a lot of times, I mean, it goes by very fast. And
right,
so what we're looking for categories that are event um,
driven.
event driven. So, we have everything from audio visual to decor, entertainment, janitorial, staffing, transportation, like all of those. Obviously, food and beverage is a very important one, because, as we mentioned, a lot of times there could be catering needs, or the actual need for brick and mortar locations, restaurants, venues, or there could be needs for food trucks. And so that food and beverage category is pretty wide, and
Mhm,
is very important to connect with as diverse a group as possible.
right,
And so, if a business is, the next thing is really the eligibility, right? Um, the A business needs to be in um, in good standing with the state of Texas. Well, there you go. So
and what does that mean, to be in good standing with the state of Texas, please?
yes,
Elaborate.
yes, make sure that you have all of your paperwork in order with the Secretary of State, that you filed your taxes, that you have, that if we do a search on the Secretary of State database, that it will show up as active, and that you're good to go, that your LLC is registered, and there's nothing that's hindering your company from doing business in the state.
Instead.
Yeah, so that's very important, to have been in operations. It says physical office in Harris County, or Houston. We
Mhm,
understand that now, the physicality is there's different ways, right? I mean,
Mhm.
food trucks, you don't have a physical location,
Right.
but again, you just need to make sure that you're in good standing with local authorities to operate in
In the state.
in the state and locally as well. Like with
Got
Harris
it.
County or with the city of Houston. Um, so be in operations at least 2 years, and be the actual business that does that, that service or that product. So not really brokers, but that it is your business and you're the one
Got it.
that doing it. So those are our minimum requirements. However, every planning partner may have additional ones, and
Yes.
that's something
Let's.
we've come across.
Yes. And can you explain what a planning partner is? I know you kind of touched on it at the beginning, but who are your planning partners? Is it the specific entity like NRG, or is it another group? Or how would you define what a planning partner is?
So it would be, so for example, with Super Bowl, it would be the NFL. So NFL
Got it.
is like the rights holder of the Super Bowl, so they're the planning partner for that event. With for the World Baseball Classic, the World Baseball organization. For March Madness, it would be the NCAA. For World Cup, it would be FIFA. So those are the planning partners.
Got it.
But even with them, there's additional planning partners,
Mhm.
because there's also additional sponsors that will be in the mix. There's also, as you mentioned, Energy Stadium, so that would be the venue where
Mm.
the match will be taking place. So they're also a planning partner. So it's basically everybody that's
Involved.
the that is involved in the event. But mainly I do refer to them as the official organizer, promoter, kind of has different names, of the event itself.
Got it.
So yeah, so they may have additional requirements. For example, I know with CFP, so with the national championship, college football playoff, the organization, they also had additional requirements that
Mhm.
included, insurance, or additional documents that needed to releases that needed to be signed for
Mhm.
any potential vendors, depending on the area that vendor was being hired for.
Got
And
it.
so that's something that you know I don't always have that information, like right now, right?
Yeah.
'Cause right now I can't tell you exactly what those additional requirements will be for our upcoming events. But if you meet the minimum requirements for us, then
Right.
you're definitely a leg up, because
Right.
you're in our database. And so
Right.
but then once we provide that information to them, they may have additional ones that you'll receive notice on, um, and you'll need to make sure that you decide, right, if you
Right.
can or want to fulfill.
Got it. Yeah. So that was my next question. For small businesses that are ready to apply, what type of paperwork or documentation do they need in order to prepare for that? But to your point, it depends on the partner organization and what they require. Like certain insurances, is there a certain cap of insurance, permits, certifications? But in thinking about just minimum, I think you and I have talked about, making sure that your website is up and running, that they have their food handlers in case they do need
Yeah.
to submit something like that. The insurance, the business insurance or the catering insurance, those are really important um, documents that you should be ready for. And to your point, in being in good standing, make sure that you've paid your payroll taxes, your
Mhm.
state taxes on your business as well. So that I would say would be the first initial really good steps to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day is like if you're currently doing business,
Mhm.
make sure that you are clear, and you're good to go, with that, because a lot of those I guess what I would think of as minimum requirements to do business, right? As
Mhm.
food and beverage company, you will have to meet anywhere you go, right?
Right.
If you want to do something here in Houston or in the state or
Mhm.
even the country, so as long as you meet those to do proper business where you're at, then any additional requirements that may be asked, I don't think should be such a um, hopefully are not a big obstacle for you to be able to pursue an opportunity with an organization like this.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, well, that's why we're having these conversations,
True, true,
because
true.
there are instances that they're not, and how do we help them, get over that
Yeah.
hump? And
Oh
that's
yeah. No,
our
no.
job. So our job is to make sure that when we send them to you, that it's just a checkbox, fill out the application, you get to vet them, and they have no obstacles to come
Yeah.
over. So that's
Completely.
why we're having this conversation, because we have had, you know, obstacles that we've had to overcome in the past. So as we're talking about, those tips, and really standing out too, because yes, you can be a vendor in your database, but how do you stand out from your experience? Either best practices or success stories of local vendors who really stood out during these types of events, whether they went above and beyond or just provided, really good customer service.
Mhm.
In your experience, what does it take to be a success story, and what best practices would you say from your experience have really worked?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Um, I think the first thing is if in order to get on the vendor database, you need to go to our website. So it's houstonsports.org/bhbh, and we have a QR code as well that you can scan. And when you get on that website, um, all the information that we just talked about, like the eligibility and all of that, will be at the top, and then you just scroll down, and then towards the bottom, that's where we have our form, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this form is where you can tell us on paper, more about your business. We want to learn everything from, your contact information. Please make sure that contact information is updated. Triple check it. Just make sure that there's no errors. Sometimes we still get errors, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit difficult to do the research, right? And
Yeah.
so please make sure. I would say the first thing to make sure that you stand out, and that you can and that we can vet you and process your registration, is to make sure that your information is correct. Um, the next one is in the products and services fields. you know, um, just really share with us in the most concise way, what your company does, right?
Mm-hmm.
What products you have, what helps you stand out, and and I say this because a lot of times I am not the one that is, um, hiring the specific contract. It'll be somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and from one of those organizations, and they most likely will not even be from the Houston area. They will be
Right.
from somewhere completely different. And so, really capitalize on in those fields, to describe what you do and share what helps you stand out. Examples that I give are, um, don't do paragraphs, definitely do bullets, right?
That's a
If
good point.
you have if you have a product, if maybe, in the city of Houston, you're the only one that has a certain, I don't know, delicacy, or, you're the only one that does, a certain shape, this or that,
Mm,
tell us.
that's a
Or
good
you
one.
can customize, and I say this because I've heard it from people where, some of the like coffee vendors,
Hmm.
that have like the mobile coffee, and then they're like, oh well, we can do like customized like foam images. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Perfect. Yes.
So it's those little things, what is that little thing that you have different, that additional thing that just makes you stand out. Maybe you're the only one that, has a certain special ingredient, or, you are, you can do, you are a food truck, but you can also do catering, I mean, let us know all of those things, because that helps a lot. And then the best way to stand out is to make sure that what you're telling us on paper can also be seen, right?
Hmm.
Can be visual. So making sure that you also have a digital footprint to go along
Right.
with that, because if you don't, it's very tough to be able to, um,
Make a case for you, for yourself, really. Like,
for yourself, yes, for yourself. And we have come across a couple of vendors who, on paper look great, but then they have
mm,
absolutely no website, no social media
mm,
presence. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, okay, how can we verify, or how can we get at least some eyes on,
right.
what we're seeing here. So make sure that you have that, and you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to have, a website.
Right.
You can have social media. Just make sure that your social media reflects your business, that it has updated information, that that you really are sharing like what your business is doing, and what you offer, because
Right.
then we can, and again, it's not it's not just me, it's everybody else that's involved, that is looking for the product that you have, or the service. And so, we just need to make sure that we can do that. So having that digital presence is extremely important. And then also, on the forum, it also asks like for affiliations. But I mean, on there, you can also add if you have any, if you are in any organizations, or anything like that. But maybe you have, some high level clients that you would really like to make sure stand out. You can include that in there as well, because for us, it's going to be another important thing to know, like, who are some of the other clients that you have, um,
Hmm.
that we can even reach out to, right?
Right. Boast about yourself. Boast about who you've worked with. Yeah.
Yes. So that's extremely important, that you can make sure that not only you have it on paper, but that you can also back it up with a digital
Okay.
presence. And I think that goes an extremely long way.
No, I agree. So I did. I went through, I started the application. I see where, we would select food and beverage. If they're a food truck, it would just also still be food and beverage, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes, but
and
you can
then
also, but you see in that
a
next category,
venue,
business
if they have a
category.
venue. Uh-huh.
Well, no, if you're a restaurant, still food and beverage, but then in
Okay.
that business category, you can say food truck, or,
Got it. Got it.
restaurant.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then that way, it just, because at the end of the day, yeah, food and beverage is just kind of a very
Broad.
broad category. But I
Hmm.
think it's also very helpful, because then, I can just share that entire category with the planning partners, and so they'll have that variety to look at.
Got it. Got it. So here, maybe under business category, would you recommend if you have a food truck, you do catering, and you have a brick and mortar, if you have those three and you have a venue to host, more than 30, or you have a large, patio or something like that, is this where you recommend they put the business category, or do you recommend putting it under product services or company description? Where would you put
So, well, okay, so in product services, you can go into a little bit more detail. Like if you
that?
have the venue, you can go
Uh-huh.
into more detail of venue capacity, X to X.
Got
But
it.
in the business category, you can definitely put, food truck catering venue, right?
Got
So
it.
then that way
Oh, it's right there.
we know that. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. And then where you kind of boast about your uniqueness, would it be under product services or company description?
I think at the end of the day, it can kind of be maybe a little bit of both, right? Depending on
Your
what that
character
may.
count, you have 250 characters. Mind you, y'all, use ChatGPT, please.
Yeah, no, I mean
And
definitely,
bullet
right?
points.
Yeah, I think maximize both, right? To
Got it.
where you can have in your products and services, you can go a little bit further into what those
Detail.
products and services are and how if you have one, a couple that stand out, and then in your company, also boast a little bit about what you've done, or uh how you know what
Hmm.
makes you stand out. So yeah, we really, we've put that limit because there are times when we've received, I mean, like novels, and
Oh, yes. No, I
unfortunately,
completely understand.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think you also have to think about it this way:
Yeah.
you leave us with a taste, so
Yeah.
then that way your social media and your website can fill in the rest.
Got it.
So I think
Got it.
that's
Yep.
very important.
Yep. I agree. And languages too. When you're selecting this, is it languages spoken by the owner or languages spoken by the staff? What do you recommend they select here?
Well, I think especially with food and beverage, I would say, both, right? If you have staff aside from the ownership that do have uh, the language skills for, fluency in other languages, then you should definitely add that. And I say that just because, the diversity of our city, and also the
Mhm.
diversity of our sports
Audience.
events,
Mhm.
you know, that's very helpful. I mean, for example, with the World Baseball Classic, we're going to have Mexico, UK, Japan, and I cannot
Mm.
remember who the fourth team is, but it's very helpful to know if there's any, if there's any link there, right? Same thing
Right.
with World Cup. We know that is the most international, diverse event in the world, sporting event in the world. So we can only imagine the matches that we may host here.
Right.
So it would be very helpful to have that information.
Question. Can I select more than one, and how? Because I tried doing shift, or you can only select one.
You should be able to,
Because
um,
I,
or see if
yeah.
control.
Oh, control. Okay.
Yeah, because
Control.
it might. And then you know
No.
what? And if I need to reach out to our webmaster, I will do that.
Yes, that would be great, because I do know that, a lot of our staffing can have, multiple languages. Um, yes. And
Okay,
but
I'll
I
do that.
guess, yeah, maybe this is more towards the owner, because there's yeah.
Now,
Okay.
we'll make a note of it, and we'll get that updated.
Awesome. Okay. Let me see. What else did I have? All right.
Yeah. So
Let's
so so I was just gonna really quick.
Yeah.
So once you fill out that form, then we receive it. We vet all the information, that you meet the requirements, that you're in good standing, and then and if you meet all the requirements, then we add you onto our database, and we send you an email letting you know that you've been added.
Mhm.
And then we are doing as we're preparing for these different events, we share the database with the planning partners, so that way they have direct access to all that information, and then we encourage them to make sure to go there first for any needs.
Got it. So I'm gonna go back to the application. What, for those that don't know what this is, what is Hub and what does this mean? Have any certifications?
Hub is historically underutilized business, and so um, that is a certification that you can get through what any of the. Actually, it's uh, through like SBA and like the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunities. So
Mhm.
so these certifications are for minority owned businesses.
Okay.
So if it's more than 51% and above ownership by, it could be a veteran, a woman, a minority,
I think you had
a
it before.
LGBTQ plus. And so in order to have any of those certifications, you would need to go through one of the approved certifying agencies that's listed there on our website
Got it.
in order to get that certification. And that's a process that, you know, every business owner can decide if they want to do that. I mean, it's highly encouraged
Mhm.
because I think that it always just opens up a lot of opportunities. Right
Absolutely.
now, for us, because of just the magnitude of events, there's different things that are happening in the ecosystem here in Houston, as far as like some of the certifying agencies that are here locally,
Mhm.
and just the overwhelming number of applicants lately. And
Mhm.
so right now, having that certification is not a requirement.
Got
It's a
it.
plus, but it's
Got
not
it.
a requirement. And but if you do have it, please let us know so we can notate that. And then if you are interested in getting that certification, then we definitely encourage you to look into any of those agencies. um, the majority of those agencies do that certification for free. It will be a
Tedious process.
tedious process, but again, it can be very beneficial. Once you go through it,
Yes.
and there's also some programs where you pay. But again,
Yes.
I think that that's a decision for every business owner to make, and to just really make sure that you also understand that um, when you do this and the opportunities that it opens, it's also, does put a lot more. I don't want to say pressure, but the capacity
Right.
is definitely going to be a very important thing for that business to have the capacity for these potential opportunities that pop up, just because you know you're
Yeah.
it's definitely a step in scaling.
Yes. And so I like what you said. It it's not required, but it does give you a little bit more credibility, as well as a little bit more points in the eyes of these planning committees, or is that a right statement to make? It just makes you look better in that sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, the process that companies have to go through in order to get the certification requires a lot of documentation.
Yes.
I mean, it requires for you to truly show, your business. And so, yes, I mean, for anybody that can see like, oh, you've been through this process, you've been vetted, that
Hmm.
is definitely a plus.
Got it. Got it. So I'm gonna kind of pivot a little bit with the FIFA World Cup coming. you did say that some things are coming, some sports events are going to happen in March, but with this large event coming to Houston, what can small businesses start to do now to prepare to position themselves for that type of vendor opportunity, with one, getting on your list, and then two, like I said, just standing out um, in that list, right? Other than, making sure you have, that digital footprint, making sure that you register for, use the QR code and start, thinking about registering with you all. What other things would you recommend that they start preparing for now? And I'm saying this because even if they're not part of your vendor list, right? You said that there's an entire ecosystem that we have here in Houston that are not direct, but indirect kind of opportunities. Because if your restaurant or your business is in the surrounding area, right, of these major sporting events, what should they prepare for too? Because they're representing, Houston just as much as any one of your vendors that are on that list. And so, what should they start doing to prepare for something like this as well?
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I think there's a couple of things. Obviously, getting on our vendor list is one.
Yeah, absolutely.
uh, yes, and then also, so I guess just kind of going. Let's start first with vendor programs, right? So we have a vendor program, um, or let's start first with understanding the ecosystem, the business ecosystem here. There are a lot of different opportunity or gateways to opportunities, right? And so I think it's really important for everyone to start doing their research and to really understand what that is. From my end, something that I really like to recommend is when it comes to the sports side, the entertainment side. um, we're not the only ones that have a vendor program. There's also
Mhm.
other vendor programs around. And so I do have like a little list there of different vendor programs that everybody can research and look into, because we have every venue has their own vendor program. So like
Mhm.
Toyota Center has theirs, Dakin Park has theirs, Energy Stadium, that whole Energy Park, they have theirs.
Right.
And then Houston First. Houston First is like the organization that the marketing the marketing agency, you can kind of say, of the city of Houston. And so, under them, you also have a couple of venues like the George R. Brown, the Wortham Center, Jones Hall, some of those theater district venues. And
Mhm.
so, so they also have their vendor program. So I think it's important to make sure that you understand that, okay, there's those vendor programs. A lot of major institutions have their own. So, for example, the University of Houston system, the Houston City College,
Right.
all the universities, all the colleges, they also have their vendor programs. And those could also be opportunities because, all of them have different events that are happening. On their campuses, on
Right.
their, at their locations, or they also, just do different, may be involved in different things. And so they could be putting out RFPs or contract
Right.
opportunities for those various in those various institutions. So I think it's important to really understand that. Um, Definitely, start networking for those that have brick and mortar locations.
Mhm.
um, Make sure that you're also understanding what's happening in your own footprint, right? Or
Mhm.
in
Your
the area.
district, your neighborhood.
Yes. The city of Houston has they've designated, I believe, 12 management districts across the
Mhm.
city of Houston.
Mhm.
So do you even know what a management district is? Right? A management district is an entity that was created to ensure that the businesses that are in the footprint of that district, are thriving. And
Mm.
so they, through the through like the taxes that are collected, they receive, like a very small fraction of that in order
A
to
little
invest,
portion.
invest back into that area. But I
Mm.
mean, if you have a brick and mortar and you are in one of those management districts, it's extremely important for you to have a relationship with the management district, right?
Got it.
Attend the meetings, know what events are coming up. Let make sure that they are aware of your business, that
Right.
you are, making that connection, that you are also letting them know, like, hey, I have these ideas. Why don't we work
Mhm.
together?
Mhm.
All that's extremely important. And so I think it's very important to do that, to
Yes.
just understand that, to make sure that you are wherever it is that you are located, that you are building a relationship with the whatever entities oversee that, and that you are also, you know um, communicating ideas, and and also potential partnership opportunities, because you never know. You never
Yes.
know.
No, I love that because I preach that all the time. And we just did a session too about winning, big contracts with universities and stadiums. And it's exactly what you're saying. And I love that you're saying it because they're not just hearing it from me now. Those relationships are so important, right? And making sure that you're out there in the community. What's it called? Stomping the pavement, because they need to see you, because they need to recognize that, hey, when I need XYZ to be catered, or I need a venue to host an event, I'm immediately going to think about you, and make sure that you're the first one that gets the notification of that opportunity. So I love that you say that. And we are literally out of time. Oh my goodness, we can talk for like forever. But I love to ask this one question. This is my last question to you. Right now, what is your favorite food or spice or condiment or even drink if you want, that you're into right now?
Oh man. Oh, you know what? Oh, okay. And I no, like I love it. It's just it's funny that I'm talking about it. Um, so I have a little garden here in my house,
Yes.
and I have squash. I have squash.
Oh,
Yeah, like
yes.
butternut squash. And
Mm-hmm.
so I love the la flor de ayote, like
Yes.
the flower.
Yes.
That is my favorite thing. And it just happened because one day I had bought a butternut squash that I forgot about, and so it started, you know
Yes.
it was too ripe.
What's it called? Yes. And
Yeah.
then the flower comes out of the stem, right?
Yeah. So I kind of, so basically it was too ripe, and everything. I was like, let me just throw it out. I literally just threw it, and then it
Oh.
grew. And so now pretty much almost every single day,
Mhm.
my breakfast is flores, like
Yes.
whatever flowers, however many flowers I may have. So I make like the flour, like dipped
Uh-huh.
in egg, and then I have that like almost every morning.
So that is so funny that you say that. So right now we're also seeing, well, they do this in Mexico. They make the quesadilla out of the what's it called, the flor de calabaza.
Flor de calabaza. Uh-huh.
Yes, and here I'm gonna put it up on the screen because that is so funny. I love that you say that. And then we have a restaurant also, um, Michelin Tatemo. They make a flor de calabaza quesadilla too. It's so funny.
Oh, I love
Yes.
it. I love it. And I can show you my breakfast this morning because I took a picture of it. Um,
See the quesadilla
oh,
and then yes. Yeah, show us your breakfast.
that looks so good. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's so great. That's funny.
Okay, it's not the best picture, but it's
It's
a
all right.
picture.
Show us.
So yeah,
Oh,
so that's two flowers and
on
then
the side, up at the top.
up at the top, and then I put a little bit of ay, ¿cómo le llaman? Requesón adentro. Is that
Like cheese?
kind of like not cottage cheese, kind of
Okay. Like some
like
type
cheese.
of curd, like yeah,
Yeah, it's like a type of
milk
cheese.
and cheese.
Yeah. So I put that in there, and then the
Oh.
bottom is like a little omelet. So usually the calabazas I only let them get about this size. Like, I can't
Oh.
wait. I have to eat them. And so, I slice them up and then I do like a little omelet. But
That is
that's my favorite thing right
beautiful.
now. I
Okay.
almost every morning.
Wow. Okay, my other co-host, you have to bring it because you're gonna have to show us some pictures next time. That is wonderful. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So, um, yeah, it's a staple in like the Ciudad de Mexico, like Mexico City. The vendors in the little carts on the side, they're just making a big old tortilla and then they just put the flor and I'm like,
I love that.
oh, but yeah, that is so cool. Well, Maria, thank you so much. This has been so informative. And, it's always good to learn from those that are in it when we want to prepare for something like this. And so, again, your expertise and your passion is appreciated, and for creating these opportunities for business owners that look like us, that speak like us. And if you want to connect with Maria, I'm going to drop her LinkedIn down at the bottom. You can DM her on LinkedIn. Any questions that you might have. You might be going through the application and want some more, kind of detail information. And that is her info. And if you haven't registered for our YouTube channel, please subscribe. And if you haven't registered or joined our Culinary Business Network, remember that you can find that as well. Here's another banner. Join us at our website, feedthesoul.org. And so, whether you're going to start now, preparing for these large scale events, we want you to know that you're not alone in this journey and that we are here for you. And if you also have any questions, please drop the comments in the chat below. But again, thank you, Maria, for sharing all those gems with us. And I will put up the QR code one more time, but you will also find that QR code in the playback as well as in the Culinary Business Network. So if you want to start registering for becoming a vendor in Houston, this is the QR code. So again, thank you so much, Maria. And any final thoughts? I'm sorry, any final thoughts?
No. I mean, just thank you, and to everybody. This is your moment. This is your moment. So make sure that you're getting out there, that you're being visible, that you are updating all your information on social media, and we'll see you.
Yes, we will see you at these big sporting events, and you'll definitely see Maria running around as well. So, thank you, everyone. And remember, when you thrive, we all thrive. And so, we will see you at the next one. Thank you.
Thanks.